1960 USA 1-cent coin. Today, we're diving into a legend that has sparked countless searches through old coin jars. The elusive, the whispered about, the potentially $1 million 1960 US 1-cent coin. You've probably heard the rumors. Seen the clickbait. A humble copper cent, a relic of the mid-20th century, secretly harboring enough value to change your life. But is it true? Can a coin from 1960, a year when hundreds of millions were minted, really be worth more than your wildest dreams? Well, buckle up, because we're about to uncover the truth, dispel some myths, and tell you exactly what you need to look for if you truly want to hit the numismatic jackpot with a 1960 Lincoln cent. And yes, we'll even talk about actual $1 million cents, just not the one you might be thinking of. First, let's get acquainted with our main character, the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent coin. It features Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design introduced just a year earlier, in 1959. Now, for the cold, hard numbers. In 1960, the U.S. Mint produced an astounding amount of these pennies, 586, 880, 000 from the Philadelphia Mint, 1,580,488,000 from the Denver Mint, marked with a D. That's a grand total of over 2.1 billion cents minted in just 1 year. When you have production numbers like that, the vast majority of these coins are, by definition, common. So, if you pull a regular 1960 penny out of your change, its value is, well, 1 cent. Perhaps a little more if it's in absolutely pristine, uncirculated condition, but certainly not millions. So, where does this persistent $1 million rumor for the 1960 penny come from? Like many coin myths, it stems from a crucial misunderstanding of what truly creates extreme value in numismatics. Extreme rarity combined with a specific, undeniable mint error or variety. When we talk about $1 million cents, in the US, we're referencing absolute legends of the coin world, pieces that stand as monuments to numismatic rarity and historical significance. For instance, the 1793 chain cent. This is one of the very first cents struck by the US Mint. Extremely rare, with unique varieties like the strawberry leaf. One example sold for over $2.6 million USD in 2018. It's not just a coin, it's the beginning of a nation's currency. The 1943 copper Lincoln cent. This is arguably the most famous era coin in U.S. history. In 1943, due to copper shortages during World War II, pennies were supposed to be struck on zinc-coated steel planchets. However, a minuscule number of copper planchets from 1942 were accidentally left in the presses at the Philadelphia Mint. Fewer than 20 are known. One sold for $1.7 million USD in 2010. You see the pattern here? These are coins that either represent the absolute earliest days of U.S. coinage or are monumental errors that occurred in literally single-digit numbers, not billions. So, if a regular 1960 penny isn't worth millions, what is the source of the persistent buzz? It boils down to two incredibly specific and rare die varieties from that year. These aren't errors in the typical sense, but rather distinct differences in the dies used to strike the coins. This is the most famous variety for the 1960 cent. The U.S. Mint started 1960 using a large date die. However, concerns arose that the large date was too fragile and prone to breaking. So, they switched to a stronger, small date die mid-year. Initially, the small date was thought to be rarer. As it turns out, the small date is the significantly rarer variety for the Philadelphia Mint, the coins with no mint mark. In top uncirculated condition, a 1960 Philadelphia small date cent can fetch hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars. One particularly pristine example sold for over $20,000 at auction. Not millions, but a very substantial sum for a penny. Now, here's where it gets interesting and slightly confusing. At the Denver Mint, the situation was reversed. The small date 1960D is the more common variety, while the large date 1960D is the significantly rarer one. A 1960D large date in top condition can also be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. An exceptional has sold for over $10,000 at auction. Crucially, both of these varieties, the Philadelphia small date and the Denver large date, are extremely difficult to find in pristine, uncirculated condition. Most 1960 pennies you encounter will be common large dates from Philly or common small dates from Denver. Beyond these date varieties, like any year, 1960 cents can have other minting errors if significant. These can add value, tens to hundreds of dollars, but they are generally not unique to 1960 and almost never push a coin into the millions. So, what do real auction results tell us? Common 1960 pennies. A regular 1960 penny, even in uncirculated condition, typically sells for just a few cents to a few dollars for a certified example. They are simply too numerous to be worth more. 1960 small date, Philadelphia top tier, professionally graded examples regularly fetch $1,000 to $20,000 plus. 1960 large date, Denver similarly, top tier, professionally graded examples, PCGS MS67 red, can sell for $500 to $10,000 plus. The takeaway? While certain 1960 Lincoln cent varieties are genuinely rare and valuable, capable of bringing in thousands of dollars, none have ever sold for millions of dollars at auction. The $1 million 1960 penny is a persistent myth, perhaps conflated with the legendary 1943 copper cent or the 1793 chain cent. So, you've got a 1960 Lincoln cent in your hand. How do you check if it's one of the valuable varieties? Magnification is key. You'll need a good magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Identify the mint mark. Look below the date on the obverse. If there's a D, it's from Denver. If there's no mint mark, it's from Philadelphia. Compare the date. This is where careful comparison comes in. Look very closely at the 1960 date. For Philadelphia, no mint mark. You're looking for the small date. The 0 in 1960 will appear smaller and slightly higher than the 9. The digits will also seem a bit thinner. For Denver, D mint mark. You're looking for the large date. The 0 in 1960 will appear larger and align evenly with the 9. Condition is paramount. For these varieties to command significant value, they must be in exceptional, uncirculated condition, where scratches and damage will significantly reduce their worth. Consult reputable resources. Don't rely solely on internet rumors. Use established coin guides like the Red Book, a guidebook of United States coins, reputable coin dealer websites, and auction archives from established houses like Heritage Auctions or PCGS/NGC price guides. Get it certified if you believe you have a genuine, high-grade small date or large date variety. Consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Their certification will confirm its authenticity, grade, and enhance its market value. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909, is one of America's most enduring and collected coins. The 1960 varieties are a fascinating chapter in its history, showcasing how subtle changes at the mint can create significant numismatic value. So, while the $1 million 1960 penny is indeed a myth, the hunt for its valuable varieties, the rare small date from Philadelphia and the rare large date from Denver, remains a thrilling pursuit for collectors. It's a reminder that even in the most common pocket change, there are secrets to be found, if you just know what to look for. Happy hunting! Thanks for watching.